Good morning. Today is the 27th of November. There's snow on the ground. It's a blustery day. We're going to do what we can, but the camera's already down a stripe because of the cold weather. We're in the local vigilance area today because Vermont got snow too, so getting in there is going to be problematic. It's going to be a day where we do what we can, and we'll see where things go. Beyond that, I hope everybody had a good holiday, and we'll hit the field. Thanks. Third try. We are going down a side trail, trying to stay out of the cold and out of the wind because it is freezing. So we're kind of down in a dip. We're going to probably keep this one simple today because the cold is more than expected. The wind is less than ideal. It's a lot blustery, and we're definitely not going to put the drone in the air because it would fly right into the next state over. We're going to go down this trail, look for some tracks. What else? Didn't go to Vermont this weekend because they started the weekend with 4 inches of new snow, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but the way in is a lengthy drive down a road that with that much snow would be problematic for navigation, and the timing of the storm, I'd be driving in as it started and getting out would be, I'll be nice and say interesting. There are some Yodi tracks. So less than ideal. Came out yesterday, it was raining and cold and raw. Then it's obviously switched to snow because we were here yesterday too. My feet are already wet too. That's gonna suck in a bit. But I guess I'm just sucking it up. Anyway, I'm following Yodi tracks. What else? I don't know if you can hear the wind in the background, but if I can stay underneath that, I can, I guess, survive this a little bit. Just do a check-in for today because it's just really raw out here today. And up in Vermont it would have been even colder, so you just, this time of year you kind of have to go with the flow and weather and all of that. So this may not be the most exciting video. I wanted to actually try out my gimbal, the new one I have, with another camera, but with it being this cold, I don't know what effect that's going to have on electronics. I don't think it's a good idea to try out something new in like absolutely crappy conditions. And these are crappy conditions. My hat just got blown off for the third time, so I'm just gonna let it stay there because I give up. Or not. It's just that windy today. So again, I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I did. It's always a good day to kind of hunker down in the house and crank the stove and get things cooking. Made some nice turkey, some homemade gravy and stuffing, and all the garlic mashed potatoes. So we ate good. We're probably a couple of pounds heavier for the effort. There was a guy, on Reddit who took issue with something when I was taking issue with the quote-unquote the woo. I basically said that it was ruining the subject, and I do feel that way. And there's a lot of it now. So he accused me of dissing Native American belief, and in that I do feel a need to clarify something. Some might attach that to the woo. I don't. Allow me to explain. The Wu are the Matthew Johnsons of the world, increasingly the Chris Noels and his porcupine nonsense. Native American stuff is part of the Native American, I don't know, spiritual or religious context is the right part of their nomenclature, but that is where that lies for me. That is Native American religion. It is a lot more bearable out here when you're out of the wind. We're going to kind of stay low, I think. How are we doing on battery? That's the other thing we're up against too, which is cold enough that the battery might not live up to expectations as I figure out how to get around this down tree up here. Yeah, I consider that to be Native American religion. And this is exactly what you have to beware of on days like this too. Things like this coming down right in front of you. Be ready to move more quickly than you might be ready to, but it beats having 3 tons of wood come down on your head and killing you, so there is that. I'm going to bop in here and around this real quick and hopefully not get up in the wind. It is cold in the wind. Outside the wind it's more bearable, but in the wind, not so much. So, in relevance to, say, northeastern Native American nomenclature, you get into things like Pukwudgies and the Manitow spirits and things of this nature, the Algonquin tradition. And, damn it, things of this nature are not the Wu as much as Native American belief, and one can not per se buy into it, only more or less because it's not my spiritual tradition. I wasn't raised in that. I don't in that tradition put it down either, because I don't see it through the same lens. They take it very seriously. As another example, on the same token, years ago I was involved with a girl from the Philippines, and for those of you that are familiar to some degree with Filipino folklore, there's a thing there called the aswang, which is, to my best understanding, something between a shape-shifting vampire witch thing. I think I got that right. Of course, every time I've heard somebody from there mention it, they describe it a little bit differently, so maybe there's a couple of different takes on what it actually is or isn't. But the thing is, even though this is a creature that's completely outside of and therefore foreign to my spirit, my folklore that I grew up with, the one thing I've learned about people from that part of the world is, to them, especially this girl who was, I think she was from Samar province, which I think is maybe a little bit outside of the more urban areas. I could be wrong. Bill Rusher, if you're seeing this video, you live there now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I speak this having never been there, but the point is, to the people that live there, this creature is very, very, very real. They take it very seriously from my experience. So, never seen one. I don't expect to. It doesn't sound like a pleasant time if you do, but I'm also not going to shit on their tradition because they take it very seriously. It's just a matter of respect. See how far I can go up here, because as I go up the hill I'm heading, do I really want to head into the wind? I'm going to freeze up there. We're going to go this way. Basically, we're just talking in the wind and trying not to freeze today. So, sorry if that's boring, but I'm not going to go hypothermic and die for you. Sorry. There have been times I've been out in single digits, but I usually go prepared. Today, I didn't realize it was going to be this windy, and it's really not that bad. It's actually like somewhere between 28 and 30, which is cold, but not like definitely freezing, but the wind factor is where things get really, really crappy today. So I'm staying low underneath the wind, and hopefully I won't have a large tree land on my head. That being widowmakers, which is definitely a thing to be aware of today. Some may think me stupid just for being out here, but my judgment call. Anyway, so that is the distinction that I draw between that and the woo. The woo is Dr. Johnson. I'm not even going to call him a doctor, he's a quack. Is Matt Johnson and Zorth and the shape-shifting bullshit, the portal bullshit, all that crap. Bigfoot is not the Nephilim, and for all the people that feel the need to inject biblical literalness into situations that have nothing to do with it, stop it. You really do ruin the subject for people that actually have a scientific interest in it. And the only thing you contribute when you do that is you demonstrate the lunatic fringe. And if that offends you, there comes a point in time when, in a given subject, you kind of have to draw the line and define where you are at it. I am not woo. I'm not going to be woo. I'm not going to entertain or humor the woo. It drags down the subject, it makes it look cartoonish and stupid, and it's 99% of the reason why the mainstream doesn't even make an effort to take it seriously. The same can be said for UFOs. We'll kind of change our venue for a little bit and go down that road. You have the people who, scientifically, is there alien, God damn it. Is there alien life out there? In the vastness of the universe, generically speaking, probably yes, there is. Is it little gray bubble-headed guys driving around in UFO, God damn it, Brand, flying saucers? Now my feet are thoroughly soaked. There you go. For the amount of cold, you think that water would be so muddy. Oh well, shit happens. And there probably is alien life, and there almost certainly are UFOs from the standpoint we have things flying around the wood, flying around the skies, and they're objects, and we don't know what the hell they are. Hence, UFO. Does that make them spaceships being piloted by little gray-skinned bubble-headed guys with that have apparently nothing better to do as they're flying around the universe than abduct people for anal probes and, mutilating cattle and the like? It seems an odd use of their time. From a logical standpoint, I guess I'm rambling about assorted crap today. So today we're doing UFOs. They have all this technology. I'm heading back into the wind, aren't I? All right, we're going to take a quick break. Bear with me. Okay, back to UFOs. So you have these guys that are apparently all look the same. They're all gray. They have big black eyes and sort of kind of look like us in the fact they have two arms, 2 legs, and a head. And they have nothing better to do than grab random people and zip them up to the ship and treat them as scientific playthings for a bit and do the anal probing thing. And that alone makes little sense to me, because for all the different colors and shapes and sizes that humans come in, the human pooper, if you don't mind me getting crass for a minute, is only so unique from person to person to person. So this alone, in terms of the lack of logic to their methods, how much are you actually learning about humanity and all our horrible secrets by doing something as inane as probing somebody's butt? It doesn't make sense. You fly all the way here from Zeta Reticula, or wherever they say the Greys are from, and you come here just to do that? You guys are pervs. And yes, I'm being facetious, but because I'm trying not to get my feet wet and I'm just failing completely. Now, what's with the mutilating of the cattle? You know, I take a look at this from the scientific value standpoint. You have all this technology and all the resources that would conceivably go into building a space-going saucer thing and traveling these vast distances at light speed or faster, if you know a trick we haven't gotten up to with our own science yet. And then you come upon the Earth. You know, the question is, what do you want with us? Because the premise of every alien invasion movie that we've had so far is, I'm sorry, just butt stupid. But presented in such a way that we have a chance to win. And I don't think the invasion is really a viable scenario, because on the one hand, if they wanted resources, the more we find out about our own solar system, let alone other parts of the universe, all the minerals and all the metals and alloys and water itself, come to find out there's a whole shit ton of it out there on worlds that don't have hairless monkeys that are going to shoot nukes at you and put up a big stink if you try to haul away all the water. It seems, just from a efficiency standpoint, you would think that a race that got this advanced would be more efficient than us, would, you know, take that approach. You can farm water from some asteroids, got big blocks of ice, and melt it down or whatever. You can find tungsten or the basis to make tungsten on all these space rocks out there. Magma. Plenty of volcanic worlds out there where you can find that stuff. And then you find all these weird extra solar planets, and you get into even weirder stuff. There's a place out there, I think, that rains diamonds in wind that's like 7,000 miles per hour. There's one that literally rains glass, like glass shards. If you were to step off the spaceship, you would be shredded within a second of being on this place. We'll never go there because you ain't gonna last long. But if we were to send a robotic probe, that would make a whole lot more sense, don't you think? You know, so if they come here, the argument would be they came here looking for other life, kind of like we do what we do through SETI and other things, and we would be the draw. So what do they do with us? Because if there's, like I said, there's plenty of planets out there, and if these people are capable of terraforming, there's a whole lot of undeveloped real estate where they don't have to come over and take the land from the natives because, again, efficiency. As far as like invading and enslaving us, for that to be efficient, number one, you'd have to teach us your stuff to make us able to use it, which gives us the knowledge to overthrow them. And slavery itself is such an inefficient system compared to a species of things that conceivably has artificial intelligence and all kinds of crazy technology. Why would they resort to such a primitive thing? It doesn't make sense. So, I mean, if they wanted the real estate, all they would have to do, and I hate to say this, is grab themselves a big space rock and dump it in the most populated part of the Earth, and we're done. They don't have to invade and take the chance that we're going to come at them with guns and all this other stuff. It probably wouldn't happen that way. But again, I don't see the logic behind them doing something like that. If they did come across us, they'd probably just want to check us out, or you get into the argument like, well, we're not advanced enough yet to warrant a worthwhile conversation, so they just kind of study us as developing intelligence or whatever. And even then, since we've had radio, we have been putting out direct a whole lot of empty noise be necessary because into the universe. I don't know if people realize this, but all you got to do is park your saucer out there and listen in, and you get a pretty good beat on human culture, such as it is to them. So, to the people, I know I'm rambling, but I am going somewhere. This have faith, pilgrims. To the people that want to buy into the alien abduction thing, and they try to build it into this whole spirituality thing, prove it. Because then you get into all this other wackadoodle stuff, and again, it's a roundabout way to try to bring biblical literacy and some form of religiosity to something that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it. And I find that to be an irritation, because these people just can't see things beyond that lens, and it's not worth the conversation. On a personal note, I've had people like this potentially move into my apartment complex at home, and so far they haven't come knocking on my door on a Saturday morning. I will suggest they don't, because I'm not required to have a conversation with people of such a limited mentality. I mean, if you're religious, great, but I'm not going to get into this on this channel. That I'm not going to do. To each their own. But when it comes to Bigfoot and the UFOs and all this stuff, and they try to throw the religiosity into it, unless you're actually a Native American and you're going into your folklore and it's part of your tradition, they're not the Nephilim. It's not some part of Gilgamesh and some other more bizarre shit. There was a guy on one of my groups at one point who was trying to convince me that this creature is an alien who hides in the woods for some reason, and he could never actually come up with a coherent explanation for his alien theory. It's an alien monkey who lives in the woods on Earth to do something. Like, okay. He was very forceful in his opinion. I finally got sick of humoring him and showed him the door, but my group, my rules, and if you don't like that, there's a very easy process on Facebook to start your own group, and you can have at it, but I don't have to join and I don't have to listen to your nonsense. Same thing with the UFO people. Now, if you were to ever be abducted by aliens and they weren't like benevolent and they were willing to show you how their stuff works and take you on a spacecation through space and take you to go see stuff you'd never get to see, I'd be up for that. If NASA ever needed an IT guy for their manned mission to Encephalus, which is probably one of 2 or 3 places in the solar system where you are most likely to encounter alien life, I'd be up for that. As far as Mars is an orange dust ball and ain't no air there, and if there's no life there, there's really... I watched an interesting thing. I guess I'm rambling about space stuff now, so bear with me. Trying not to freeze, that's all. But so I saw this interesting documentary-esque thing on YouTube, but it was from some scientist guy, and he was making a case for colonizing Venus as opposed to Mars would be a lot more doable, because a lot of the technology we would need to survive that environment is already there. We would just have to get there and put it up there. But the nature of the upper atmosphere is such you could have hot air balloon colonies or something. It was like a really, I don't know how credible this guy is, but the situation that he described was very Jules Verne-esque, and I found that very interesting. To go pay a visit to the hot air balloon colony on Venus, I'd be up for that too. That's not so far away that you're going to spend your whole lifetime getting there. Whereas someplace like Encephalus, if you were to go to Encephalus looking for life, you're probably, at my age, that's probably the last thing you're going to do while you're like able to get around and be mobile and stuff, because Mars is like, what, 3 months under the best speculated technology that we don't yet have. Encephalus is a whole lot longer than there. You have to go through the radiation belt. I forget what they call that. Maybe the Van Allen belt. That's near Jupiter, and not become a human briquette. And there's a lot of stuff we don't have quite there yet that we would need to have, but it'd be a cool thing to do. Okay, so I've rambled long enough. I am freezing. Any activity that you would have out here today, number one, it is hunting season, and I'm out here with at least 2 different hunters. So I have my orange on. If you do go out, remember your orange. Might keep you from getting shot accidentally. That would ruin your day. And mine if I heard about it. So we're going to wrap this up here, and like and subscribe if you want. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully next week the weather will be better so I can actually get out and do something without freezing my ass off. That being said, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you the next time. So we'll see you. Bye.